I'm going to attempt to run through walls with these XBee 900 megahertz radios. So for the last several years, I've had success with the XBee radios for smart home applications. I found when I first started that Wi-Fi just wasn't really getting the range that I needed. Bluetooth certainly wasn't there. But when I used the XBee, the S2 and the S2C, originally with Zigbee protocol and then later with Digimesh, I got pretty good performance. And I could reliably have things all across my home reporting back to a gateway. But I later found that the benefits of the system were really due not to the radios themselves so much as it was the fact that they had the mesh networking. That's what I mean is this works very well, but if you have a single radio in the field somewhere, you just don't get the same performance. Here's a house down the street where I'm actually going to be doing some testing, and this is a box in the yard that's controlling garden lights. And in this home, the Wi-Fi really kind of peters out around here, and sure enough, this box also cannot get a signal from the gateway, which is down on the other side of the house. Even putting together a mesh network just to access this outside node worked, but it's kind of awkward to have 3 radios just to go what's roughly 20 meters to control some lights. And the thing is, when you try to consider your options, you find that most other options are also 2.4 gigahertz. These popular smart home options are all 2.4 gigahertz. So I'm hypothesizing the bottom line is at that frequency, unless you're using mesh networking, you just don't really have a workable system for reliable smart home connectedness. Here's the crux of the video. Can I swap out my 2.4s for these 900s and get an instant bump in performance? Here's a few from my inventory of XBee S2 and S2C radios, and I just got these Pro S3Bs in the mail. I want to compare these 2.4s to the 900s and see what we get. These are the S2C Pros. They're the same thing, but they operate at higher power. I'll try those as well. I tend to think where you have interference, increasing the power doesn't necessarily help you that much because you're going to just increase the amount of interference proportionately or maybe something less than that. From the data sheets, you see on the left column, we've got the standard S2Cs, and on the right, we've got the Pro, which is the higher power. And they're claiming an indoor range of 60 meters and 40 milliamps at transmission, and the Pros are talking 90 meters and 120 milliamps at transmission. You notice that the range doesn't go up that much like we talked about. All you're doing with the higher power is just driving more interference. You can still get these radios, but they are actually obsolete at this point. Digi has moved on to the XBee3 and the XBee3 Pro, which is just basically the next generation model. You're still at the same price point that I got my radios at, and you have very similar performance. What I did move to is the 900 megahertz, the S3Bs. We're looking at a range of 300 to 600 meters indoor, but look at the power level. We're at a much higher power level, and that makes this not an apples to orange test. But you know, the point of the test is not really just to analyze the difference between 900 and 2.4. The question I want to answer is, if I've got these 2.4s and they don't work, can I pay a little more for the 900s and get a step change in improvement? And by the way, you also have a step change in price. So I think at this price point, this is a radio that's probably not often going to be used in the home. So here's my radio tester circuit. I actually soldered this up this summer and haven't pulled it out till just now. It consists of a standard Arduino circuit. So you've got your capacitors and crystal to run a bare bones Arduino. I've got my programming port over here. I got a micro USB power, but I'm not actually using it for this test. Here's my radio, and going from 5 volts down to 3.3 to drive the radio. Got some push buttons to control the test, and I've got some feedback LEDs. This will be my base station. This is not going to move during the test. I've got a custom board here I built to attach the XBee radio to the serial pins on the Raspberry Pi. This is just exposing power and ground, TX-RX. I just flipped this thing over, attached it to the Pi, and now I've got an XBee radio gateway. Here's my finished tester. I've got that same circuit I showed you on top of a 12-volt sealed lead-acid battery. I bring the 12 volts down to 5 volts, and then these wires are going to come over here and attach to the programming ports to power it. When I turn it on, the green light says we're ready. I then click a certain number of clicks to say which test I want to do. But if we want to do test number 3, I'll click this thing 3 times, hit the go button, and then as we're getting packets from the base station, this light will blink until we're finished, and then the green light goes back on saying the test is over. As I mentioned, I got these boards designed this summer. I did it in Fritzing. It's kind of hobbyist level software, but that's fine. These are pretty simple boards and it'll work. I've got to get this programmed up to send and receive radio packets and then take inputs from the push buttons and reflect certain outputs in the LEDs at the right times. Before I do that, I've got to get the radios configured. So here you see me working on my two XBees. You'll see them come up in the two terminal windows, and I'll confirm that they're talking to each other. Once that's set, I'm going to start to develop the base station software. So I'm going to have the radio tester sending radio packets to a radio that is attached to my desktop computer. I'll develop the software there. So you see me iterating on the test, making some adjustments. I'm trying to get the tester to initiate a test. The base station turns around and sends 10 packets and then a completion packet. You see the LEDs going on and off. I finally get to the point where it's working. Here I'll up it to 100 packets just to see what that's like. But it looks like the software is working. So now I just need to copy it down to the Raspberry Pi, plug it into Ethernet. That becomes a base station. I'm going to charge up the battery for my tester, and I can start moving around doing the tests. Here are the final candidates for the test going from left to right. You've got your S2Cs with PCB antenna. Then you got your S2Cs with wire antenna. The S2C Pros, the higher power version of the S2C, and finally the 900 megahertz S3B. Take a little time to top off the fuel, make sure we're ready to go. Give a cameo to this cat. I want to jump straight to the key learnings here. First is retry functionality will skew your results. I went to start this test. I picked a bunch of locations, started running the radio tester and recording the results. And the results you see are misleading. First of all, you see that we don't have great success. We're not at 100% in terms of received packets, so that's not good. But you notice that even as I get farther away from the base station, the success rate doesn't really drop off. That's not really how it played out. The radios have a functionality to retry until they're successful. So sometimes the packets will get hung up completely, be massively delayed, but eventually clear and get to their destination. Those would show up as successes the way this test was set up. I think it's important when you do a test like this to time the packets. And the way you do that is you put either a random or an incremental value in each packet. And when packets come back, when packets are relayed back to your base station, you check that exact packet for the time it went out and the time it came in. You keep track of those values and you average them. For number two, the environment and time matter so much. I guess it's stating the obvious, but let me explain with a specific example. Well, generally speaking, what I found is that on a Tuesday, the radios will work perfectly, and then on a Thursday, all of a sudden, they're just not working that well. And so I've never been able to determine what the pattern was, but then we had this one specific case where we saw the problem occurring in real time. So here's actual data from the second test that I ran. If you look to the top, you see test 2 complete, test 4 complete, test 2 complete. This is location 2, the closest to the actual base station. Ran it twice, and you see that the first time we got almost 100% received, and the second time we got 100% received. But look at the percent delayed. The first test had 25% delayed, and the second had 0. What changed? We turned the Wi-Fi router off. So this is starting with the radio tester near the base station, and already look at the average time of the packets. It was pretty bad. And he said, look, what if the environment's noisy? Turn off the router, turn off several of the Wi-Fi devices in the house, and all of a sudden got perfection. So the point is, if you're going to run a test between two scenarios and one is 100% good and the other is 85% good, is the second one really not as good, or was it just a period of high noise in terms of radio disturbances? So that makes me wonder, with this kind of randomness, are we even getting a good test? But that brings me to the third point, which is the 900 megahertz really does give us a substantial improvement. I'm going to go through now and show the results, and you'll see that, yeah, I think the 900 megahertz radio does solve your problem if you're having trouble getting to remote points in your household. So now that I've reworked my testing so I can measure the average time the packets take to travel back and forth, you can see that I also went further afield. Got this far with the 900 megahertz. That was pretty cool. So here's the results. I'm adding 2 lines to these graphs. This line is as fast as you're going to get for an interval time. So whenever you see a dot in this line, it means the packets were coming with no delays. 100% were at maximum speed, about 125 milliseconds per interval. And the vertical line represents the approximate distance to the garden light installation. Remember, the question was, can these radios get us to the garden lights reliably? And so this is kind of the goal, is to beat this yellow line. You can see that the success rate of the S2C is not that great. Remember I talked about the Wi-Fi router being turned off? Here's the success rate with it on. Here's with it off. That's why you get this average data point. Still not that good, but it's worth noting that when the router was off, these things did go at almost perfection. However, they were still a little bit delayed. Moved up to the wire antenna. This is actually what we've been using for the last couple of weeks for this installation. And although we do get some missed packets here in this test, you see that generally speaking, they're working pretty well at this distance. Now, one thing to note, getting 9 out of 10 packets doesn't seem that great, but the reality is you can send that same packet 5 times, and then all of a sudden you are actually getting closer to 100%. So that's what we're doing here. Some packets are being dropped, but we've been driving the garden lights by just sending that packet 5 times. We send it 5 times at 2-second intervals, and that gives us pretty much 100% success with the lights. Moving on to the XBee Pro. Now, these had substantially improved performance within the house. They were basically operating at 100% until we got to the outside. They did have more range. We did have some missed packets. We did have some delays, but generally speaking, this got us another 10 or 20 meters of distance. And finally, we get to the 900 megahertz, and it's dramatically different. You see we have 100% success until we get to about 100 meters, and it started to drop off. And I want to point something out here. I know it's normally not okay to just change data sets when you don't like the results. This data point is something else. It didn't really happen. When I ran this test, there was a hiccup, and I tried to run it twice. And I don't know if packets from one test ran into packets from the next test, but this test ran perfectly well. We did not have an average of 3 seconds per packet. So I'm going to adjust this one out and make it look like that, because I actually watched the LEDs blink when I ran this test, and it was about perfect. What this is showing you is that for the first 100 meters, you've got total success and you've got no delays. Now, we have no delays all the way out here, but we hardly got any packets at all. So whenever the packets were received, there's no delay. But the takeaway is that when you compare the 900s, which easily clear this 20-meter mark, they actually easily clear a 50-meter mark. When you compare them to the original radios, you see it is a substantial improvement. I think this is about the effective range of the different radios. The PCB antenna is good for going in a couple of rooms. The antennas are not bad for getting you outside. The XBee Pros that have the higher power do a better job of penetrating your yard. But if you really care and want to make sure your signals are getting out to your devices out and around your home, the 900 megahertz does solve that problem for you. I hope what this video accomplishes is giving you some confidence that if you're a DIYer making smart home projects and you're at a dead end in terms of range, you just can't get something to communicate, I think you can consider going with the XBee 900 megahertz radio. Operates just like the 2.4s, but it gives you much better range, costs a little bit of money, but it will save you a lot of frustration. I've got a lot of projects coming out in the next couple weeks, including an internet-connected bathroom scale and also an internet-connected solar system monitor. So if you're interested in this kind of content, please subscribe. There'll be more in the future. See you soon.